There's one thing that often gets overlooked in church culture: the value of expressing your emotions honestly. Allow me to explain. So I grew up in South Africa as a PK, pastor's kid, and so for me, growing up in church was just the normal thing for me. And I noticed one thing about growing up in a church culture from young was that, we have this thing where we ask people, how are you doing, and typically the answer back would be, I'm fine, I'm good. And you know what I mean. There's almost like there's almost like this norm of people just saying these, like, I'm good, I'm fine type of responses. And I totally understand why that happens. But for me, I just noticed that I guess I took this as impressions as a young boy, and I just thought that that's how people deal with their emotions. But then growing up, I want to share with you something interesting that happened to me when I was around 18 years old. My parents went through a divorce, and this was a tough situation for me, but I think for me, I didn't really know how to deal with processing my own emotions regarding this event. So something interesting happened. I would be at social gatherings with friends, and normally, typically, if you know me, you know that I like to engage with people. I like to have a chat, I like to make some jokes and have a good time with my friends. But what happened is I became real quiet during this time, and I had no idea why I became this quiet. It's almost like it just was a big mystery to me. She suggested that maybe my inside world, or my mind, is trying to process everything that I'm going through during this difficult time, but because I'm not dealing with it intentionally, it's just like taking longer than it could. And that question brought the breakthrough, because I listened to what she was saying. I thought, let me see if there's something to this. And I just started to be a little bit more honest with myself, with people. If they were to ask me how I was doing during this time, I would simply say, instead of saying I'm fine, I'm good, I would just start to say, yeah, I'm okay, or I'm frustrated about something, or this thing over here is hard for me, I'm struggling a little bit with this. Just that little bit of intentional honesty and expressing with how I was doing, it brought the breakthrough. I felt like in a couple of weeks, I felt back to myself, and it taught me this huge lesson that I still apply today, is to remind myself, everything we go through, we have permission to express honestly what we're feeling inside. We have the Bible, and we have 150 Psalms. And if you just flip through some of those Psalms, you'll very quickly see that God has no problem with us expressing what we are going through very honestly with Him. And so I just love the fact that there's 150 Psalms. Go check it out for yourself, because you'll see that many times people are expressing their hearts fully and honestly with God, and that actually helps them to get back to a place of worship that is true and real. I have had the privilege of learning with multiple inner healing ministries, and this is something that they have recognized as well. They have learned and they have noticed that to skip this part of the process, it just delays the healing journey. And so I have seen with multiple inner healing circles that when they create time and space for a person to just express really honestly the negative emotions that they have not expressed yet in regards to some event in the past that have hurt them, that this actually helps them to accelerate the healing journey. Now you might be thinking, Chris, this sounds nice, but how do I know if there's maybe some unexpressed emotions that I need to deal with? Well, I want to give you one clue, and it's simply this. If you find yourself going through a ordinary type of event, maybe a chat with a friend, maybe a chat with a colleague, something that seems pretty everyday, ordinary type of event, and something about what was being said maybe bothers you for hours and hours and hours. It just sits with you. It's almost like you can't shake it off. It just sits with you for many, many hours. Those are little clues I would engage the Holy Spirit with. Is there a potential lie that I'm believing regarding this situation? Another good question would be to ask him simply, is there maybe some unexpressed emotions that I still need to express regarding this situation? Or ask him, is it maybe linked to something from my past? Hey guys, if you would like any help with this process, check out the link in the description about the membership that I've started. If you found value in this video, would you mind hitting that like button? And also leave me a comment to let me know if this was helpful, or let me know what content you would like me to make videos on for the future. And then consider subscribing if you want to be notified of future videos that I put out. And also, if there's maybe a friend that might need this kind of information to help them on their healing journey, why don't you share this video with them? Hopefully this will lift them up on their journey as well.